Hey guys, this is Nelson, and you're watching Flat 6 Media.
I'm Henry, and this is the 2021 Acura RDX.
The Acura RDX is one of the most popular midsize crossovers in its class. It's now 3 years into its current design. How's it holding up? All models come equipped with premium sound, power front heated seats, keyless entry and start for a fee, power tailgate, the star of the show, the panoramic roof, 19-inch premium wheels, and Acura senses their safety suite.
Now, if you care a little bit more about tech, you can get the technology package that's going to give you upgraded sound with some Milano leather seats and blind spot warning, and we feel that this trim actually hits a sweet spot.
Jumping into the A-Spec, it adds even a better sound system, giving you the full outlet of the ELS 3D Studio system. Sporty black trim, suede accents in the interior, ventilated and heated seats, and shark fin 20-inch black wheels. At the top trim, we have the Advance. It comes with 3D cam, kick power tailgate, heated steering, fog lights, and all of the items from the previous models. The materials in here are still lovely. Everything is very nice to the touch, very upscale feeling. Your gauges look crisp and clear.
And minimal is incredibly minimal.
Minimal, but is incredibly obvious too. I feel like the minimal should disappear. That would be truly minimal. Driving position feels excellent with the door sill and with the center armrest. This piece does slide back and forth, and a nice ergonomic position for when you actually want to reach and touch things in the center stack. I want to comment on how nice the steering wheel feels. It's a nice supple leather feel with stitching on the bottom, feels upscale. You have your bumps in the right place. Interesting touch is that when you grab the wheel at 9 and 3, there's a nice ridge behind the wheel that actually feels really comfortable. You got soft touch materials in the right places. It's not leather, but it's nice to the touch, nice and smooth, little plush. You got aluminum all the way around the door trims, and it goes all the way around. This is, I believe, a 10-speaker system instead of the top spec, which is a 16-speaker system and a little bit more wattage in the amp. All your safety features and buttons are right at the touch. They're not hidden in any kind of menus. You have your parking brake, turn on and off. All the important buttons are right at your fingertips. You got your volume knob that protrudes, which one would think this is the volume knob, but it is not. We'll get into this a little later. Elephant in the room is the center stack. Let's go.
What the hell is up with the dial in the middle? This big fat button for the dynamic mode, I get it's a drive selector. It is in line with the transmission, right? This is shift by wire, so of course it's gonna have as push to drive, push to neutral, pull to reverse. Something that for a lot of people to get used to, but as you drive it more and you interface with it more, it starts to make a little bit more sense from a comfort perspective. But more naturally, it comes across as something that I would use as a dial for my radio.
Honestly, I just set it and forget it because I don't want to deal with it. When I do want to play with the trans and put it into different modes, every once in a while I'll catch myself looking for a button, and then I'm like, oh yeah, there's a big silver wheel. What are they getting right? It's nice that they have buttons for all of the things that you need, and you don't have to go digging into menus. Unlike the old MDX, I should say, the 2020 that we drove recently, where if you want to adjust anything, AC, heated seats, whatever, you have to dig into menus. Positives for the center stack, I like that all of your important buttons like heated seats, your climate control, and all your up and down speeds are actual buttons that you get to press. The only challenge there is to find myself looking at it because they're all bunched together in one spot. It's just not as clean as other automakers do.
Acura definitely tried to make this look a lot cleaner. Acura's in the past, and maybe just for its time,
just button happy.
Button everywhere, right? A ton of buttons and everything. And personally, I like buttons, so I wasn't against it at all.
How do you feel about the new screen?
Oh, way better. I mean, it's going from, in my opinion, because I'm so particular, standard Zenith TV from back in the day to now we're looking at LCD.
Is it a touchscreen?
It is not a touchscreen. And that is kind of an issue, right? Yes and no. Cool that it's not a touchscreen because you don't get the fingerprints all over the screen, and that's always a little bit of a But when you get past that, it's the natural way to interface with things these days. And instead, Acura has you work with this pad. You have way more experience with it than I, Nelson, but isn't necessarily the most intuitive thing.
The True Touch does actually work, as in, you know, wherever you place your finger on the pad, it actually displays that position on the screen. It's a little bit challenging because you always have to look at the screen to orient yourself. It takes that quick second to figure it out.
The options that you would naturally want, things like your Apple CarPlay, your phone, your Bluetooth audio to kind of connect, that's at the top and that's good.
Right.
But there are other options that you're going to want to adjust, and they kind of put that deep underneath into all the different sub-menus.
They do this odd thing for where they sort of make something quirky, or they kind of break it. It's almost like they self-patch whatever they break, which is weird. Why don't you just build it the right way
from the get-go?
All right, so you don't get any big screens like you do in the Honda, where you have half of a real dial and then half of a digital screen. What you get is a digital center stack, which is something we're all kind of used to already anyway, which works. And what you can do is switch from your usual screens, you know, your mileage, your gas, your oil. When you're in a sportier or different mode, is these two unique symbols, like one's an orb and the other one's sort of like a shooting target. And it kind of makes no sense for what you're actually doing, you know, for sporty. I guess they're sort of adding some kind of boost gauges that really make no sense for this car. Where you actually get your input is in the center screen. When you move your dial, that's how you run through all of the different drive modes, where you get these cool animations where everybody likes. But yeah, again, those are things that I could do without.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a little gimmicky.
Little gimmicky. It's cool. You know, the wheels are spinning and it's a nice little graphic, etc. But it doesn't really do anything for me. The analog gauges that you do get in a nice, crisp black and white font looks great. Steering wheel, it's kind of like the center stack, where it's vague because the buttons aren't really distinct other than for your rolly wheels and your click up and down.
Okay.
You have one on each side, and then you have a couple of buttons that are smooth. They have very slight texture to them, but it's really hard to tell what they are. And I find myself always having to look at the steering wheel to understand what input I'm giving it. So that's something that I would say Acura needs to work on. Oddly enough, they have the same feature in the Honda Accord, but they got it right. The buttons are bigger. They're way more obvious. In the spirit of making this neat and pretty, they've made the buttons kind of small and they've kind of crammed them into these nice aluminum bezels. The function of it is still kind of difficult to grasp while you're driving or when you're new to the car. How do you feel about the styling of the interior, the layout, fit and finish?
The seats themselves are very comfortable. I do feel like it gives me a touring type of vibe, because I can sit in the seat what feels like for hours. Recline a little bit and you're good to go.
Right, it doesn't feel like you're in a jacked up SUV.
Right, and no pressure in any place. It's the right bolstering, the right support, exactly. And it's really nice and soft. Everything here feels nice and solid.
Yeah, it feels very upmarket.
You don't lose anything on this model. Yes, there is piano black in a lot of areas here, and you can smudge this nice and easily. The armrest itself, when you open it up and slide it back, you have a ton of storage, right? That's for sure. You have your 2 cup holders, all your ports to actually connect your phone and any other devices that you have.
Oddly enough, this is the port that goes into the Apple CarPlay because it's not wireless yet.
Ultimately, you shouldn't need to pick up your phone if you have Apple CarPlay. That's the design, right? The car, in effect, takes that in. Features, what safety features does it actually bring?
It actually does give you the full Honda Sensing or Acura Sense suite. Just like the Hondas do, where they throw in the whole package. You have lane keep assist, you have slow follow. So that means it'll actually trail a vehicle in front of you and brake and move with traffic, which works pretty well. As far as the lane keep assist, now the lane keep assist is good, but it randomly shuts off and it doesn't really give you any indication other than the guidelines that you see on your center stack here, on your center dial, actually just kind of fade out and it doesn't let you know. So it's a little, you know, it could be better, maybe a little beep. I know beeps can be intrusive and annoying. No rear collision, forward collision, and slow follow. That's what comes really packaged in the Acura sensing suite. If you want more, you're gonna have to pony up and get into the tech and models above it.
I just think that manufacturers need to get with the game, and all the safety features should be standard across the board.
So you mean like Kia and Hyundai are doing?
Exactly. There's other ways that you can nickel and dime and add features for more, but safety should be just the minimal. You get it, everyone gets it, everyone's safe.
Couldn't agree more. I will say it does come in handy because we all have the nasty habit of looking at your phone momentarily, and these systems are very good in those situations. It's not supposed to be the cure-all,
Nope.
but it does work really well, and it's definitely saved my neck a few times.
Safety net. It is a safety net.
That is all.
Or else this would be flat 6 single media. One guy, one car.
All right, so now it's time for Henry to drive the RDX and see what his impressions are on the drive and the super handling all-wheel drive, or
Shoddy, as I like to call it.
jeez.
I'm more of a sport mode type of driver, so if I were to change the setting, I would come here to the odd dial.
What? Not a big, oh, not a button?
Not a button, just a dial that I am supposed to turn. Oh, look, graphics. So I'm going into Sport Sharp or Sport Plus, depending on how you want to call it. I like Sharp.
Now, did you notice the car automatically disabled the turn off feature, so
Yes.
the car does not shut off in sport mode? So it is directly telling you we are not conserving any kind of gas.
I feel the force. So while it is 4 cylinders and not the most powerful, what it's known for is to be hyper engaging, right? Especially when you turn while accelerating. This is fun. This is freaking fun. I love the confidence. Sorry I didn't yield there.
What's a yield?
Dude, she is fun.
Yeah,
That genuinely. Now I'm used to a different kind of car, and this guy, just holding the transmission, just delivering the power at the right times, right? Upshifts right, downshifts correctly. It is a lot of fun.
Honestly, it feels like we're doing a hell of a lot faster than we actually are, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it's fun.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that you feel like you're doing 50 and yet the car's doing 35 because it keeps you in the speed limit. But it makes it feel like you're driving a much more sporty vehicle. This is still a CUV or an SUV, however you want to call it. Nelson, what do you call your car, Nelson?
I call it an FUV.
An FUV.
It's a fun utility vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
That's not what my mind first. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Henry?
Yeah.
So I will say, now something that I did learn about driving this car from the forums is that if you are in sport mode, let the transmission do its thing. You are not going to do better than the computer when it comes to the paddles and the gears.
Yeah, I mean, and most cars you're never going to win.
The programming, the technology is mostly good.
Yes.
And this car does it very well. So driving impressions so far, it's fun to drive.
I think it's great. I mean, yes, it was holding the gears a little long. Like I said, it was shifting and in my opinion, upshifting and downshifting appropriately. Super engaging, very direct steering, but yet comfortable. It's an SUV that is still driving as if I'm driving a sedan, a smaller vehicle, and in that it's because it feels nimble, right? It's nimble, it's direct, it's very responsive. It's giving me a lot of the right feedback that I need to know exactly what the car or what this truck is doing. Overall, it's solid. I mean, it's definitely got all the right features in the right places.
Any absolute favorites on the interior?
I love the screen, for sure. The sound system, it's not the upgraded system here, right? But it still is a great sounding sound system.
Absolutely. Regardless.
Nice big side view, rear view mirrors and everything in the right places. Plenty of visibility, plenty of light with the panoramic roof, which means a lot here, honestly. It just makes the cabin feel way more spacious and airy.
What do you like about the exterior or don't like about the exterior?
This is what set the new Acura design language, is the first vehicle to bring it out. And when you look at the others that are falling in line, the TLX, the MDX, it's a great looking vehicle. And the appeal of something like this, as we've said before, the sedans are sort of kind of fading out, and it's because vehicles like this are filling that gap.
And they look pretty.
They look great, and they're giving you the practicality of additional storage, in many cases your bags or whatever you're charging or plugging in. And it's good. A lot of cars aren't necessarily doing that. It's either put it on the floor or here you get a small little pocket.
Right.
But here it's a good use of space.
Well, since I've known you, you've been an SUV guy and I've been a sedan guy. So for me, making the transition has actually been seamless because I now realize how much space I have on tap. Frankly, I love the look, and you're totally right. The design just lands and it hits just right.
Yes. Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago when we actually sat in one at the New York Auto Show. We were excited about it then.
Totally excited about it.
Now we actually have one in front of us now, and it's delivering.
Still does it.
But it delivers, right? Everything that it had then is here.
Every time I get in it, I still get the same feeling we did when we saw it at the New York Auto Show.
Nelson, would you keep her? Single guy Nelson, though.
Single guy Nelson, I got to tell you, for single guy Nelson, this does the trick for me. It does everything that I need it to. It still looks good, plenty of space, comfortable. I've taken it on a few long trips, and honestly, there's just no reason to give this guy back.
Dad Henry over here, I would not have a problem keeping this one either, because it's giving me the fun experience while keeping me in check and, you know, let's call it safe and well behaved from a speed perspective. And yet it gives me all the storage and practical applications that you expect from an SUV, like mounting your bikes, like having 3 or 4 kids plus a dog in the back, and all the other storage needs that come with it.
So on a practicality note, it isn't the most economical. So I don't know if it's that, you know, the super handling or the weight of the car, or more than likely the size of the gas tank of this thing. It just eats up gas like if it's a GTR.
This guy doesn't care about gas, though. Okay.
But this has been Nelson
and Henry.
This is the 2021 RDX. See you next time.